So, a new device from Ableton Drummer, a Max for Live device for editing the Volca Drum. The Korg Volca Drum is really great because it's quite inexpensive. It's quite small. You can carry it around and you can have a lot of fun with it. To be honest, it's my first synth. So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it, but I run into some limitations here. So for example, accessing all the different drum parts here and editing those is quite limited. You have to switch between the different layers, and if you have one parameter set already and then you are turning a wheel here, it starts at the value the wheel is set, not where your edits were made beforehand. So another limitation here is that you only can store about 10 presets in here, and I just thought, well, actually it should be able to create something to do this via Ableton Live, and as I'm using Ableton Live anyways for most of my music production and my live performance stuff, I gave it a go, and here it is. You have an editor now where you can access all the 6 different drum parts via all different MIDI channels. So the term parts and channel will be used for the same thing here, because drum part 1 is sending on MIDI channel 1, drum part 2 on MIDI channel 2, and so on and so forth. So this way you can just link those two together and send this out from one device. So yeah, the good thing here is actually you can edit from inside Ableton Live. You can set automations. You have some push bangs here as well in the device. So you can go through all the different parameters you have in here. And you have some info stuff in here as well. So for example, if you want to change the different sound engine parameters here, so you have the sound sources, you have the pitch modulators, and you have the amplitude envelope. And as you can see on the left side here, you have in the info box explained what those parameters are and how to access those and how what the names are. Okay, so the cool thing here is really you get 10 presets included in when buying this device. So you already have 10 presets in here, and I grouped them all in one rack here to show you how easy it is to switch between different presets. So you have 2 buttons here where you can send the current, so this would be only sending the current chosen drum part, which is drum part or channel number 1 here now. So, or you can send all parts, so all the 6 parts and all the different edits you made in here will be sent out at once. So this is necessary if you have multiple, or this is only necessary if you have multiple devices, multiple Volca drum editors in one Ableton Live set. So let me quickly show you how this works. So I start the tune, and then if I want to change, I just select the preset and then click on all parts, and all those parts will being sent through. Okay, let me turn down my headphone volume here a little bit. Okay, so let's do this once more. I'm now running this preset here. Let's go to preset number 10, and I'm pressing on all parts. And all the different parts are changing here. Cool. Okay, so obviously you can make a lot of your own presets and you can store them in the user library. So for example, if you make a new preset, you can just call this whatever you want. Let's put in test for here now, and I can put it in here and now it's saved in my user library, and it's copying some files, the Max for Live file, not but all the different edits. So yeah, let's just open up a new one and start from the beginning, because the setup process is a little bit weird. So but firstly, let me show you how quickly you can do this. So you just select the Volca device, or let us just take this one we just saved, which is now loading, and once it's loaded it should send all parameters, but sometimes it's sending all those parameters at once. Because it's sending all parameters at once, the Volca drum might not get all of the parameters which are being sent here. So just to make sure, if you press send all parts here again, you make sure all those parts are being received. So maybe let us just have a kick drum being played. I'm going to show you how to set this up, the whole MIDI playing function, later on in the video. But first we just want to have a look on how to edit stuff here. So let me switch off this bass sound here. Okay, so now let's focus on the editor. So we're getting a kick drum in here, and we can access the two different parameters. So the two different layers, I mean, it's still too loud. That's better. Nice one. So we get all the different parameters, and as you can see on the Volca drum, when I'm changing stuff here, it shows me if I have the right part selected. It shows me the changes I'm doing on the display here. So level is level here on the Korg Volca drum display. So what is really nice here, if you want to select the different parameters, you can do this via the knob wheel here, but you can just click in there as well, which is a bit more accessible, I think, because let me show you. Just changing quickly by clicking on those different parameters here lets you control them a bit more easier. And the nice thing here as well, you actually get a really nice view of what your edits and what your levels and how do you say, what you're actually, what stuff you have chosen here. You have a much better overview, that's what I mean. Okay, so you get level 1, I mean layer 1 and layer 2 separated, so you don't have to, you don't stick to this one problem you got on the actual Korg Volca drum. So if you're changing, for example, the level of layer 1, let's do this on here. So I turn this up to, let's say, 200. And then I found out, okay, layer 2 is a bit too quiet. I just want to turn this up a little bit. So if I'm now going to layer 2 and just turn this knob here, it's picking up the value the wheel was at the last time. So obviously, because I just put it up to 200 on layer 1, now layer 2 is on 200 as well. So I have to turn this down all the way where I wanted to. So that's not like a big issue, but it's just a different approach of how to see stuff, and how, especially when you're starting out, I think it's a bit random sometimes, which is nice if you want to play, but if you really want to understand what you are doing, I think a view of this editor is much more supportive for that. So we have the whole sound engine section for both layers, and then we have the bit, the fold, the drive, and the send button here. We have the pan and the gain, the overall gain. So we have one thing which is like for global, for all different drum parts, all different drum channels, which is the wave guide section here. And this is staying the same even if you go to different drum parts, because it's a global setting for the whole preset you got in here. Okay, so yeah, let's have a little play with the kick we just have in here. So I can change the level and change the pitch. So this shows me, this leads me to showing you actually what you can do here as well is you can merge all those buttons here. This is like accessing the same value for layer 1 and layer 2. Bam. So there you go. So now if you click this button down here, the pitch, for example, is now linked. So this button here on layer 2 is grayed out and you can't access it anymore with your mouse. You only can change the pitch wheel up here in layer 1, and this will change the pitch for layer 2 as well. So this function is the same like you have in your Korg Volca Drum. In the access board here you have layer 1, layer 2, and layer 1 and 2. Yeah, so if you're now changing the pitch here, it's changing the pitch for both of those. Okay, so what I need to do now is to get all those settings being sent to the Korg Volca Drum, because I just changed the pitch here. I now need to send this values out here, because this is not working by directional. So if I'm changing the pitch on my Volca Drum here, you can see nothing is changing in the editor. The Korg Volca Drum is not sending out any MIDI, so I couldn't sync this button here to the editor button. So what I need to do now is I actually need to shoot all the current settings here, and you can see on your Korg Volca it's lighting up, so all those parameters are being received now. Cool. So let's fiddle around with the kick a little bit. Much too high. Let's pitch this down. Put the level up. Maybe have a listen on the first one only. I want a bit longer. There we go. That's sounding nice. Okay, and then I can turn down the first layer. Wow, why is that so high? Okay, because of the amount of the modulation here. Maybe. Yeah. Much nicer. So it's very similar like the first one now. And now I can go to this section here. Can put some bit reduction on here. And some drive maybe. And now I can pan this as well. I have the gain section for this whole section here. Plus I have the waveguide section here, which is controlled by the send button down here. Okay, so let's say I found something in here which I really like. I can now just select or rename this preset, kick, nice maybe, and put this into my user library, and this way it's saved and I can recall this anytime I want in a different Ableton Live set, for example. And yes, so the whole editing section, or the whole editing, is done by now, and I'm sure for a lot of people this wasn't that new for you. So the routing, the setting up for getting this whole thing being played right. So as you can see, I have a few tracks here. We are only interested in the first track here. Let's maybe set this up from the beginning. The whole pack comes with a template as well, which you can use to set it up once, and then you can just save this. So, but let's start from the beginning. So obviously we need a MIDI track first. So again, this section now is only about controlling the parameters on here, so editing sounds. This is not about playing stuff, sending MIDI notes in. This will be in a chapter later. Okay, so let's take this preset we just created, and we're gonna put it on a MIDI track, and then it will be loading. So you need to make a MIDI connection. So I'm going via my Focusrite sound card, my Focusrite Scarlett sound card here, via the MIDI out from this sound card into the Volca drum. So you need to make sure that the track out of your MIDI port you're using here is being set to on. So if you go to link MIDI, go to the output section. So this will be the port name. In my case, this is Scarlett 8i6 USB, and this track out needs to be set on, so that this will be appearing here, so that I can set this and select this to being sent out. I want to set the MIDI input to no input for now. Yes, so I'm sending out stuff now on channel 1, and as you can see, nothing is being sent out here. So some indicators, some MIDI indicators would flash up here if something would be sent out, but I'm not sending stuff out. So I'm only sending stuff out and to the Volca, and you can see the Volca is reacting. The decay of the wave send section here is being recognized and being sent out. You see the indicators here, and the indicators here are flashing. So this way I can change the global settings here, but for all different channels and all different drum parts, I need to set up one track each to send out the MIDI on the right channel. So this is really an issue with Ableton Live for now. Well, it's for a few years now, you can say so. You can only send out MIDI on one channel. You can't select here, for example, channel 1 to 6, and this way I will be able to send this out to the different drum parts on your Volca. All those drum parts only receiving, if it's set to multi-channel mode, which it is per default, 1 up to 6. So I need to send those on those different MIDI channels, but I only can select one at a time in each track here. So this way I need to set up one MIDI track for each channel, for each drum part. So let's name this editor, this one track, and then we gonna create more tracks. You can do this by insert MIDI track, right click insert MIDI track, or Command Shift T. Right, so we now have 6 MIDI channels here. Maybe set them up right so we know they are all the same, and I can select those, selecting one and then Shift and then click on the other one you want to select, and then just set all those to no input for now. And then I need to select the right MIDI 2 port, which is my Scarlett in this case. And now I need to deselect all channels, so just that I just can select one channel, and then I have to set this to the different channels. So this one would be channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, channel 4, channel 5, and channel 6. Right, okay. So I now have all those set. Maybe name those right. Channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, channel 4. This must be boring, so boring to watch, but I'm ready now. Okay, so now the output of those tracks are set right, but they somehow need to receive the data I'm sending from this editor, from this device here, in those channels. So there is another section of MIDI, how do you say, Max for Live devices. Where are they? They should be in your pack, because I haven't created the pack yet, but it's in my presets in here. So you have those receive Max for Live devices here, which need to be put on each channel. So Volca Drum receive channel 1 needs to go on channel 1, obviously, and then the next one on 2, the next one on 3, and 4, and 5, and 6. So this might look a little bit confusing and complicated, but you just need to set this up once, and you can now save this whole section here. So for example, if we delete this, and then we could group this whole section here together, it's Command G, and let's say Volca editor preset. And you can now save this in your user library as well. And you can recall this whole section here just by putting this in here like this. What am I doing wrong? Double click. No, cancel. Double click on the, not on the set, on the actual tracks here. And now you can see it opened it up, and all the things are set right already. So you need to make sure, if you open this up on a different computer, or if you're using a different out port for connecting to the Korg Volca Drum, you need to make sure that this one is active, or the right one is selected in here in the MIDI 2. So don't know, if you upgrade your sound card, for example, or your MIDI connection, change your MIDI connection, and you're not receiving anything on the Korg Volca Drum, this could be one of the cases why, if it's not really, if not the right MIDI port out is selected, obviously it won't work. Cool. Okay, so let's put on the editor we created earlier. I forgot the name already. It was something with kick. There it is. I can now put this on here on the editor track. It's loading and send all parts, and now I get the sound here from those. I have the presets changed on my Volca Drum. Obviously the sound needs to be routed back. I'm using Ableton Live for that. I don't know if you're going into a different mixer or something, but for routing the audio back, we just could quickly create one track here, and let's create a MIDI track, because we have some advantage here if we're using the external instrument from Ableton Live. So this would be this one, and we can put this only on a MIDI track. We set the MIDI to Scarlett, and now I can I routed the Korg Volca Drum via the headphone out to my external sound card on 3 and 4. So now I'm getting this back in, and this is already saving a lot of latency time here. We're gonna have a look at this later on, how this works in detail, because this is a whole different subject to itself. Okay, so now I can play my MIDI clip here again, or I can just play the Korg Volca Drum. And I'm getting some stuff from my push as well, but now I'm playing those, and I can edit this in here. So for example, just put the send down on the kick, put the gain up, so this would be the basic step how to use the editor. Obviously you can change all different parts. You just need to select the second part here. For example, if I play it now on my Korg Volca Drum, let's put up the gain. You can hear it's changing a little bit, but yeah. Okay, so let's take something, a parameter which is quite obvious, changing the bit here. Yeah, so you understand how this works. Again, you can access all those 6 different drum parts within one editor. You can merge all the layers here if you want to, all the parameters on this. And what is interesting now is you can actually use multiple presets in one set, Ableton Live set. So if we just duplicate this here, I think looks nicer if you group those like I did in the beginning. And obviously when I change stuff here, this won't change. So if I now want all those setups I got in here in the first one to be sent to the Korg Volca Drum, I can do this shooting the current. So that would be just drum part number 1, or I could shoot all parts by pressing on the all parts button here, and I can automate this as well. So now I have this setup, now I have the setup of this one.